out my window, sun shining bright.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Sideliner channel. It's your boy Reese. Two more playoff series ended last night in the Denver Nuggets versus Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Phoenix Suns defeated the Los Angeles Clippers. Both of those series went 5 games. So 3 of the however many playoff series so far have been completed. And the rest of them are still being very interesting and exciting to pay attention to. Although you do have the Miami Heat up 3-1 against the Milwaukee Bucks, 8 seed on the 1 seed. You got a 7-seeded Los Angeles Lakers up on the 2-seeded Memphis Grizzlies team, 3-1 as well. And it's another team up 3-1, New York and Cleveland. That's the other series up 3-1. That was the first 3-1 series of them all. All 3 of those games take place later on tonight, as well as the Sacramento Kings taking on the Golden State Warriors. That's all later on tonight, though. But let's get to the games from yesterday. I will admit, that Denver Nuggets game, I was unable to tune into, like I said yesterday in my video. My brother came home, so I didn't get to watch that game. Last game I'm missing of the playoffs throughout. But it was a good, solid game for Jamal Murray, 35 points. Jokic had a crazy triple-double. Although he took as many shots as he did score points, they were still able to pull away with that win. A good game for Anthony Edwards. I think he had 28 points. Karl Anthony Towns finally showed up in this game, but like I said, they ultimately fell short in 5 games. But the first game of the night, Boston Celtics versus the Atlanta Hawks. This was an interesting game from the tip. Both teams throughout that first quarter was not giving up a lead. I think in the first quarter it was a 30 to 27 point lead, 30 to 27 point game. Atlanta up by 3 at this point. A very impressive win for this team, missing their second best player, second best ball handler, second best scorer in Dejounte Murray. Obviously, everyone still believes that Boston can come out of this series on top, but Atlanta just did Philadelphia a huge favor, extending this series an extra game at least, to give Joel Embiid another game, another 3-4 days rest before having to go and compete again against a Boston Celtics team who are, for the majority of the season, was the best team in the East up until that last stretch where Milwaukee jumped them. This was the best game from Trae Young that we've seen in this playoff so far. Finished the game off with 38 points, 13 assists, and of course he had the game-winning 3 to seal the deal for Atlanta. Coming into this game, this was his 4th elimination closeout type game. He was one of two record, averaging 15 points per game on 21% from the field, 9% from deep with over 8 assists and 6 turnovers. Obviously, that was a much better showing for him in this game. Shot just about 50% from the field, 38 points, like I said, 13 assists, just a few turnovers for Trae Young in this game. So, evening up that record in elimination games for him, 2-2, a much better showing. Guys like DeAndre Hunter's defense on Jason Tatum really made it hard for Tatum to get going in that first half, and just throughout the game, I think he finished with less than 25 points. Bogdanovic was huge for Dejounte Murray in that starting lineup tonight. Finished the game with 18 points, 3 of 6 from downtown, 12 second half points. A huge fourth quarter for Atlanta after struggling in game 4, where he only scored 8 points on 3 of 8 shots and eventually fouled out. This was a much better game for Bogdanovic. Also, John Collins really stepped up in this game. He was knocking down the perimeter shots with ease, off the catch. He was looking real confident, even in the mid-range, in the paint. A solid scoring game for Mr. Collins. Saddiq Bey as well, stepping up in the clutch. Offensive rebounding in the first half was huge. 12 points in the first half. A big time run in that last 5 minutes for Atlanta to take this game. It went on a 15-2 run to tie the game, a 23-8 extended run, and then Trae Young getting to that line late in the game, garnered some "fuck Trae Young" chants. We love to see it. That means he's really giving your team the business if you got to pull them chants out. He was absolutely picking Al Horford apart in that screen, in that pick and roll, that high pick and roll in that fourth quarter. He couldn't really do much. Either it's going to be a step back for three. He had 3 or 4 of them in that fourth quarter, or he's just going to drive right past you, throw a lob, get a floater, or get to the rim and get a foul. He only took, I think, two or four free throws in this game. Obviously, that's not the Trae Young that we are accustomed to seeing. He is one of the top free throw takers in the entire league, and for him to have just that few free throw attempts in this game says a lot for him. His scoring in other areas of the game, he was effective shooting the ball, passing the ball. His defense in that fourth quarter, like I said, that last 5 minutes, they were creating hella turnovers. DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Onyeka Okongwu, like the defense was just locked in that last 5 minutes, and that helped them seal the deal. Even in the stretch without Trae Young, they look good. They look real good without Trae Young, and no Dejounte Murray out there. Just team basketball as a whole, just team basketball. Coming into this game, as an organization, Atlanta by far has the worst elimination game record going all the way back to 2011. Just 2 of 9, 18% win percentage. Huge victory for Atlanta in this game. Now for Boston, obviously Jaylen Brown was the biggest and best player on the court for both teams, if you ask me. Aggression from the start of the game, 5 for 5 from the field, attacking the rim, hitting threes. His footwork in the paint is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful basketball played by Jaylen Brown tonight, whether it was in the mid-range, whether it was in the transition, hitting threes, attacking the rim. Jaylen Brown looked like the best player in a Celtics uniform tonight. He looks like a guy that is ready to go lead his own team, which has been the rumors for all year. Where the hell is Jaylen Brown going to end up? Is he going to stay a Celtic? Is he going to re-sign? He said he wants to re-sign, especially if they can get back to the finals, make another finals push. They've been relatively successful ever since he got into the league. 4 NBA Eastern Conference Finals appearances and the one last year NBA Finals appearance. So him being a part of the Boston Celtics has been great for him. Not only him, but the organization. And hopefully they can figure something out because although Tatum struggled tonight, Jaylen Brown held it down. And you're really going to need a Jaylen Brown next to Jason Tatum. This team will not be the same if Jaylen Brown is not there next year. You're going to need that 1-2 punch from the both of them. Like I said, JT struggled tonight, was just 1 of 6 in the first quarter. DeAndre Hunter was getting all up in him, making it hard for him to get it going at all. 2 air balls from deep in the first half. He just had 8 points, 3 of 11 from the field going into the second half. Obviously, he finished the game with 20 or so points, but it was rough for him getting it going. Boston struggled heavily in this game from 3-point range, especially in the first half. I don't have the actual numbers, but just know it was atrocious, especially when you compare it to what Atlanta was doing with their shooting. They had 0 turnovers, though, through that first 17 minutes. It was a good, solid team, ball movement, basketball game taking place. It was like a Jaylen Brown drive. He got double teamed and Trae Young was able to poke it loose, which was their first turnover. Ended up with just 4 turnovers going into the fourth quarter. So a great team basketball game played by Boston. Then it fell apart completely in the last 5 minutes of that fourth quarter. Allowed Atlanta to jump back into this game. And the momentum, they just couldn't get back the momentum. That first half, though, they were very aggressive in the paint, as they have been in previous games. 34 paint points versus Atlanta's 18. 20 fast break points, and Atlanta did not score a fast break point until the fourth quarter. Absolutely insane. Just running in transition, controlled that throughout the entire game. And like I said, they were up by as much as 13 in that second quarter, 16-5 run. And throughout the game, they just got lackadaisical, turning the ball over. Atlanta picked up the aggression, the energy. Trae Young was huge for them in that fourth quarter, energized, and was just able to, take this game over. Kicking it out west, Philly versus Los Angeles Clippers. Like I said, this series was ended last night. 4-1 series win for the Phoenix Suns. And must I say, Devin Booker, stellar player. Even with a player of a Kevin Durant's magnitude next to him, he is still getting his off. The man averaged over 35 points a game for the series. 5 games, the man averaged 35 a game. The Phoenix Suns are poised. They're locked in for this NBA championship run. And I got my money on them. They're the favorites at this point. Obviously, it was a scare for them in that game 1. Losing to Los Angeles, everybody was like, uh-oh, we got a series on our hands. Then Kawhi Leonard goes down, out for game 3, 4, and 5 with a knee injury, with a knee sprain. They desperately needed him for the entire series. Like I said, it was looking like he was going to go 7. The Clippers' Achilles heel for the past 4 years, ever since this team was created with Kawhi and Paul George, has been the health of those two players. The two best players not being healthy for a good chunk of every season, obviously that's going to throw a wrench in your plans. That's going to make it harder for you to garner momentum throughout the regular season, and it's going to leave you in this middle of the pack of the teams in the conference. Obviously, they didn't have to go through the play-in, being the 5th seed, but they had the toughest matchup in the first round, going against a super-powered team in the Phoenix Suns, who are undefeated coming into this series with Kevin Durant. They lost just one game ever since Kevin Durant has been in the Phoenix Suns uniform. Just one loss, and that was game 1. Kawhi, in those 2 games that he did play, averaged 34.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 6 assists on 55% shooting. Not to mention his defense on Kevin Durant, on Devin Booker, and just all over the court. Kawhi Leonard was a huge threat to the Phoenix Suns getting out of this series. If Leonard doesn't go down, I feel we're talking about this series completely different. It doesn't end in 5 like it did last night. Probably maybe 6, maybe it goes 6, because you still had no Paul George there. Although Russell Westbrook had his 30 pieces here and there, Norman Powell with a 42 piece here, it just wasn't enough for the Phoenix Suns. And I really don't want to hear no more Westbrook slander. I know I said that shit before. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. He kept this team competing, even though they lost all 3 games without Kawhi. He kept this team competitive. He kept the team focused. That was a young team, a newly put together team, not to mention he kept them together as a true veteran does, an MVP caliber type of guy. Russell, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Relentless effort and aggression is what kept the Los Angeles Clippers in this series from Russell Westbrook. Even when his shots weren't falling, he was productive all throughout the game in other aspects on the court. Rebounding, passing, defense. Russell Westbrook is a game changer. And hopefully moving forward, the Los Angeles Clippers can figure out a contract deal to keep him a part of this team. To start this game, though, Norman Powell and Ivica Zubac combined for the first 17 of the Los Angeles Clippers points. Zubac was working down low all game. Ended up with 16 points, 9 rebounds. Stellar game for him. 18 of their 30 points in the first quarter came in the paint. Great team basketball, great team effort. Allowed the Los Angeles Clippers to stay in this game throughout the first half. Bones Highland comes in, get a quick 9 points off the bench in the second quarter. But then throughout the rest of the game, the man was just chucking shots. He has a lot of improving to do, a lot of maturing to do as far as what shots to take and what shots not to take. A very promising player. His nickname is Busy Bones. He get busy out there. So we know what he's capable of. He has the tools to be able to perform at a high level every night. But like I said, he just has to do some maturing. This is his second team in his young career. I think he's been in the league for 3 years now. This is already his second team. Hopefully the veteranship of Russell Westbrook can rub off on him, and Eric Gordon, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, these veterans could rub off on him, because although Denver had veteran guys, they didn't have any guys that were really proven throughout the league. You had the Jamal Murray All-Star. You had an MVP in Nikola Jokic. But then when you go over to the Los Angeles Clippers, you have an MVP in Russell Westbrook. You have 2-time Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year in Kawhi Leonard. Paul George, a consummate All-Star, perennial All-Star. Like these guys, Eric Gordon, he's been in numerous playoff series, numerous runs throughout the playoffs with guys like a Chris Paul, James Harden in Houston, even in LA initially. These are guys that you can put around a young guy like Bones Highland, and hopefully that their wisdom, their expertise of the game can rub off on him, and he can do a little bit more maturing during the offseason coming into next season. Even Terrence Mann went through a maturity process as well. Obviously, it's not to the same extent because Bones Highland they're 2 different kind of players in my opinion. Terrence Mann is more of a control the offensive type of guy, like a true point guard, with Terrence Mann not so much a true point guard, but more of a point guard Bones Highland is, where Bones Highland is more looked at as a 2 guard, although he is super small. He's more of a 2 guard where he's looking for his shot. In the first half, the bench was very, very critical for the Clippers. 27 bench points to Phoenix's 11. And Marcus Morris was looking real good in this game. His mid-range was falling in that first half. 8 points off of 4 middies. And then Norman Powell, his aggression to begin the game really kept the momentum going for the Clippers. The man was attacking the rim, 3-point shots and ones, 16 points on 5 of 9 shooting early on. But stagnant offense and then Phoenix defense really bothering him, prevented him from having a bigger impact throughout the game. In the fourth quarter, he came alive just a little bit, hitting some and-one jumpers, attacking, getting to the rim, hitting threes, but they also lost this game by 6 because 2 critical turnovers at the end of this game. One from Norman Powell, and then the other from Russell Westbrook, a pass to Terrence Mann where it just went out of his hands, out of bounds. So they had the chance to, rally in that fourth quarter, which they did, and come away with this game and extend it to a 6-game series, but ultimately fell short. Mason Plumlee's rebounding in this game was instrumental for the Los Angeles Clippers. It was just what they needed. 18 points on 6 of 6 shooting, 9 rebounds, huge for them in that fourth quarter as well. Attacking the rim, being aggressive on the glass, and just getting to the rim as well. They had a 9-point lead going into halftime, taking off on a 12-4 run, and 10 offensive rebounds in that first half gave them 21 second chance points. The energy was very much there for Phoenix in this Los Angeles, in this game. It was they scored 70 points in the first 2 quarters. And that third quarter, Phoenix somehow was able to score 50 points thanks to Devin Booker dropping 25 points from Devin Booker in the third quarter on 10 of 11 shooting, 3 of 4 from downtown. The man was absolutely ripping the nets, whether it was mid-range, 3-point shots, even got a shooter's touch bounce where it went all around the rim and went in like Devin Booker. A hell of a game. Kevin Durant struggled just a little bit in that first half. He couldn't really get his shot to fall consistently. Just 12 points on 4 of 11 shooting. But in that third quarter, he really ramped it up alongside of Devin Booker. 13 points in that quarter. They went on an 18-0 run, 33-7, extended to really outscore LA by double. 50-24 was the final score of that third quarter. Somehow, the Clippers were able to turn that right back around on the Suns in that fourth quarter and make it a game. 5 minutes into that third quarter is what really killed the Clippers' chances. 9 points on 13% shooting. Abysmal to say the least. That little stretch right there blew their chance to extend this series. It really did. Especially when you consider the type of game Booker was having. Like I said, Kevin Durant went off for 13 in this quarter. DeAndre Ayton was lighting their asses up in the mid-range. Just in the paint in general. If DeAndre Ayton was in the paint getting a shot attempt up, whether it was the little push shot, a hook shot, or a mid-range, DeAndre Ayton was tearing their asses up. Pause. From jump, though, for Booker, hell of a game. Started the game off with 10 points, 4 of 6 shooting. Really controlled the game for Phoenix early on, whether it was scoring, rebounding, assisting, steals. He's been locked in from game 1. So many tough baskets dropped for him in this game, whether it was over a double team, fading out the post, catching it out the 3-point shooting off the 3-point shot and fading with it. It didn't matter to Devin Booker tonight. The shots, the rim looked like, huge. He's been the best player in this series on both ends of the court for both teams by far. Like I said, Kawhi Leonard was doing his thing, and they could have clashed and had some kind of battle for the best player, whatever. It don't even matter. It's the first round. But those two was really going at it in game 1 and 2. Had Kawhi been around for the rest of the games, like I said, this could have been a different series. Booker now has 17 30-point postseason games. That's the most in Phoenix Suns franchise history, passing Charles Barkley with 16. And he also has the most 40-point games in franchise history with 6. And then of KD's last 30 or so games, the man has lost just 1 game. A winner. Ayton was huge in that first half for Phoenix. 18 points, 8 of 10 from the field. His rebounding was stellar. He didn't get many blocks, if any, but just him being in that paint, a big body, was deterring players from either driving down there in general or making it hard for them to convert. Not to mention the play that the Suns got from Bismack Biyombo throughout this entire series when DeAndre Ayton was on the bench, whether it was rebounding or blocking shots. The man was even scoring in this game. Huge role Bismack is playing for them, being that backup center. And Chris Paul down the stretch, hitting shots when he needs to. Been very quiet this series. I'm not even gonna lie. It's been Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul. Like, he is sometimes even the fifth guy because Josh Okogie or Torrey Craig could have a night. So, man, he about to get carried essentially to the NBA Finals. Hopefully they do make it there because, you know, I'm a KD fan. That's one of my favorite players of all time, Kevin Durant. Devin Booker, I'm very fond of his game. And then Chris Paul, I just feel aside from the dirty shit that he does and the little BS that he does, the crybaby antics and all that, Chris Paul is a hell of a basketball player. His IQ is second to none, aside from LeBron James when it comes to really picking apart an entire game for 48 minutes. Chris Paul is that guy. I feel he deserves another chance at getting a ring, even if, you know, Kevin Durant is the Finals MVP or Devin Booker is the Finals MVP. Chris Paul deserves to, you know, retire with some jewelry. I ain't even gonna cap. This video was a little weird because I was up and down. I got some phone calls in the middle, so it kind of threw my mind off. But, you know, appreciate y'all watching, you know what I'm saying? There may or may not be a video dropping tomorrow. My woman's birthday is tomorrow, so, you know, all for full attention to her. So there may or may not be a video tomorrow, but just stay tuned, stick around with your boy. You know, trying to stay consistent as much as possible with work and, you know, just real life shit going on. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're new around here, subscribe, drop a like, comment, and I will see y'all in the next video, whatever that shall be. Peace.